So, how to create health and well being? Well, first of all, it's different for each and every one of us. None of us came here with the same exact cellular structure and health. All of us came here with a whole different parameter for health and healing. And it all depended a lot on how we were conceived, when were conceived, what happened during conception, and when we were in the womb, all the different things that took place in our mother's life. So we don't all start at the same, like, clean board. We all have different parameters of health and healing from the very beginning. So we do not start with a clean slate. What, however, determines our health and well being for the rest of our lives has everything to do with our own experiences in life. So, for example, there are people like me who, because they wanted to, lived in different countries and different cultures and were exposed to different facets of life, different ways of being. There are those who stayed in the same place all the time and had a whole different life. We think we're the same because we are essentially the same. And the only reason why we're here is to learn how to LOVE, really and truly. But whether we create health or healing has everything to do with all the experiences of our lives. If we were sequestered in one place all the time and we were never allowed to explore other ways of being in the world, and we were especially influenced a lot by programs on the television, by movies, by songs, and particularly by advertising, then we're going to have a whole different outlook on what health and healing means. So we cannot fault people for not being healthy, nor should we look at people who are not healthy and think something is wrong with them. Because in illness is where we usually find ourselves. That could be their own barometer of health, because you've got to have a body has to have a lot of energy in order to cast off all of the toxicity of all the things that we hear, feel, see, think, and do in our lives, because that's what creates healing. It's all the things we feel, think, say, and do that creates healing. So to be healthy, we have to look at all of these different things, what we feel, think, say, do, and watch, and hear, and listen to, and regurgitate. All of this has everything to do with the degree of health and healing we have. My degree of health and healing has nothing to do with yours. Yours could be a totally different aspect or level of health and healing. So to say that somebody's not healthy just because they do not meet our own standards is actually buying into the programming that we've all been given. All of us on some levels have been programmed. Some of us have escaped a lot of it because we've lived in different cultures, we've moved around, we've been exposed to different ways of thinking and seeing the world. Some of us constantly listen to and are bombarded by the television. The first thing we need to do when we decide we're going to stop the programming, we're going to go for a different level of health and healing by changing the programming, is to first turn off television sets. Anything to do with institutional, subliminal messages, anything to do with advertising. Of course, it's impossible to turn off advertising. We all are exposed to billboards outside, unless we live in the Alps, unless we live in a beach community, unless we live in an intentional community, unless we live in the woods, in the forest. We are, most of us, majority of us, all the time exposed to some degree of advertisement. So whether it is the degree of actual entitlement to feeling that we're entitled to be entertained, if we feel that we're entitled to be entertained, then absolutely we are going to be fully programmed, because that's how we're programmed, by entertainment. The more that we are programmed by entertainment is the more we succumb to all the programming about what's healthy for us, what it is that we need to be looking at in our lives, and where we need to put all of our attention. What we put our attention to is where we put all of our efforts. What we put all of our efforts to determines the degree of toxicity in our lives or lack of it. So, for example, if you decide, or I decide, to be fully alive every day, it means that we have to change the parameters of what being alive means. We have to change our programming around what being alive looks like. And that is where we all need to start, every one of us, if we want to throw off and discard the incredible amount of programming that we have succumbed to. So I love what Thich Nhat Hanh says, because you are alive, everything is possible. So it doesn't mean that we cannot do it. And of course, Khalil Gibran also said, the lust for comfort murders the passions of the soul. So if we think that just being comfortable and staying in the comfort zone is what works for us, we will never be fully alive. And that's why I said there are different parameters of what alive means, and we need to start looking at the ones that we have turned to and that we have succumbed to. So we need to start cleansing ourselves from all of the belief systems, thought patterns, the languaging that we have succumbed to. Or language betrays us all the time because it shows the level of programming. So cleansing is relative to the individual. It all depends on what it is that you need to really cleanse yourself of, what toxicities have become ingrained in you and which ones you're ready to cast off. So cleansing is relative to the individual, while purification is relative to the ceremony, activity, or deity. And this is why I actually would implore you to look at different kinds of purification and cleansing, because they are different, and see which one would work best for you. And then that will help you to create a whole different concept of what health and healing looks like. So if we give in to a lot of toxicity in our life, toxic language, if we speak toxic language, language that depletes us, that diminishes us, that pulls us down, if we create languaging that helps us to create a whole different version of ourselves, language that pulls us up, that elevates us, that lifts us up, language that inspires us to a place of love and healing in our lives, then that, of course, is part of the cleansing and purification. And we need to look at each and every one of these. So when I have a client comes to me, I never, ever tell them what their health or healing should look like. I help them to discover how far they wish to go with it and which of the healing practices, the cleansing and purification practices, would work best for them. And so I work with them, not at them. So it's really important to be aware of what it is that you wish for your life, because if not, then all of these different entities, all these different institutions, all of these subliminal messages are just going to flow right into you, and you will feel lost and anxious all the time and fearful all the time. So please, let's take our power back and look at all the ways we can start cleansing and detoxing our lives and realizing that we matter. So I'm asking you to click on the notification and subscribe button if you'd like more of this. And remember that at the root of the word cleanse is the word clean. And I would implore you to think of a cleanse as a way of cleaning your body, your mind, your thought patterns, your belief systems, and therefore your entire life can be cleansed and start from scratch. It can happen. So I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. And if you'd like more of this and you'd like to explore more of this with me, I do have freebies on a Facebook page, which is called the Elegantly Raw Resource page. Please go in there and you'll get lots of help as well to start the process on your own. Look forward to seeing you for more.